Is it really, Caitlin? Is it really?
Yeah. Okay. All right. I got you.
Okay.
Ready?
My kite is a parrot. So it's not
All right. Lesson 6-6, trapezoids and kites. These notes are now online. They didn't get up till this morning, so I apologize. Recall that a trapezoid is a quadrilateral, as everything in Chapter 6 has been, with exactly one pair of parallel sides. The parallel sides are known as the bases, and the non-parallel sides are the legs. The base angles are formed by the base and one of the legs, so they're the angles that are on either end of the base. And here's the diagram of a trapezoid. Exactly, and only one pair of parallel sides. So the parallel sides are the bases, the non-parallel sides are the legs. Scratch that, I don't want that. I want numbers. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4 are the base angles, formed by the base and one of the legs. But let me ask you this. Since it's a trapezoid and the bases have to be parallel, what is the relationship between angles 1 and angle 4?
They're one of your pairs?
They are
They're supplementary.
They are supplementary because they're what special pair of angles from not corresponding.
It's the other one.
Is the alternate interior?
It's not alternate.
It's not alternate interior because they're on the same side of the leg.
Same side interior.
What?
Is it alternate?
Some people will call it a C.
Same side interior.
Same side interiors, or some people call them consecutive interiors.
Consecutive.
Okay. 1 and 4, 2 and 3. 1 and 4, 2 and 3 are both supplementary because they are consecutive or same side interior angles, with the two parallel sides being the bases. If the legs of a trapezoid are congruent, then we refer to this as an isosceles trapezoid. The legs of a trapezoid are congruent, then it is an isosceles trapezoid.
Would
By the-
that make the two bottom ones equal, like in a triangle?
The angles?
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. And the answer is yes. My first question for you guys today, can the bases of a trapezoid be congruent?
Yes.
Why?
No.
Why not?
Because,
Why not?
Because then it would either be a square or a rectangle, and then they'd be a parallel.
Jim bottom side's longer than the top side.
Not, it doesn't always.
Doesn't have to be.
bottom side.
Okay.
The legs would have to be parallel.
The legs would have to be parallel then, correct. Remember, one of our theorems about parallelograms, if a quadrilateral has one pair of sides that are both parallel and congruent, then it's a parallelogram. So if the bases were to be congruent, then this would have to be a parallelogram. Okay? So the legs are the only things that the legs are the only thing that can be congruent on a trapezoid. And if the legs are congruent, it's called an isosceles trapezoid. Here is a picture of an isosceles trapezoid. It is. What do you notice?
There's congruence.
There is congruence.
And
What they call it is two things that like triangle. Those two things are perpendicular.
bisectors?
No,
No.
the
Those are the
arrow. bisector.
And
Yeah.
arrows in the middle mean they're parallel. Theorem 6.21.
Because one triangle's bigger than the other.
If a trapezoid is isosceles, then each pair of base angles are congruent.
But those aren't. Okay. Yeah, that's, wait, never mind.
Notice how they're using colors. The base angles at the bottom, the green angles are congruent. The base angles at the top in yellow are congruent. But notice the first part of the theorem says this: if a trapezoid is isosceles. So if it's not an isosceles trapezoid, then they're not congruent. Theorem 6.22 is the converse. Trapezoid has one pair of congruent base angles, then it is an isosceles trapezoid.
The base angle would be like that one and that one.
Yes,
That's congruent, those are
isosceles trapezoid, and the legs are congruent. Base angles are the angles that are on either end of the base,
okay.
and the bases are the parallel sides. So an isosceles trapezoid has two pair of base angles, one for the bottom base, one for the top base.
What if you only have one for the top base, or only one for the bottom base? They're not both congruent. I think I'm making myself confused.
You should.
Let me try. The midsegment of a trapezoid is the segment that connects the midpoints of the legs of the trapezoid. What else had a midsegment that we studied in first try? The triangle does. Do you remember the two facts that are true about the midsegment of a triangle?
Or 2/3.
No, this is on the very last test for you.
Are going to be very similar. The midsegment of a trapezoid is the segment that connects the midpoints of the legs of the trapezoid. And the legs are the parallel or non-parallel sides.
Oh, the parallel.
Try again.
Wait, congruent. No,
Non-parallel.
Wait.
Yes, Ms. Clark?
Alright, so you're saying, like, the legs.
The legs. Are they the parallel or the non-parallel sides of a trapezoid?
They're the parallel, they should be. Well, only if they're isosceles.
Non-parallel.
But
What's parallel mean?
congruent, not. They're the oh, they wouldn't be because they're like this. No,
Correct. Parallel means they never what?
They never are.
Cross.
No, it's not crossing, it's like,
Intersect.
is it intersecting?
Mm-hmm.
Because they wouldn't, because if they're like this, they're not going to. They don't if they're like that. Like that. But that wouldn't make a shape, right? I'm thinking I'm kind of lost.
It could be a parallelogram. Remember, legs are the ones that don't intersect.
Okay.
So they're the non-parallel. In isosceles, though, they're the ones that are congruent.
That's what it is.
Okay? I get congruent and parallel mixed up. All right. Theorem 6.24. If you love triangle midsegments, you're going to love trapezoid midsegments. The midsegment of a trapezoid, just like the midsegment of a triangle, is parallel to each base. And its measure is 1/2 the sum of the lengths of the bases.
Wait, so.
Yes?
The mid segment, the blue line that went to the middle, like went through the middle of the triangle and drew it? Yeah.
Oh, that little drawing I had?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So it was like parallel to it and it was
Yes.
like half the size
Mhm.
of the base.
Correct. Half the third side that it doesn't intersect with.
That right?
EF doesn't look half the size of DC.
You're right. And it's not. Okay. Ms. Crank asked, back to your question. XY is the midsegment because it connects the midpoints of AB and BC. XY is parallel to AC, and XY is half of AC. Very well. Someone said, EF doesn't look like it's half of DC. Who said that? Hummel? You're right, it's not.
Say 3/4.
No. It's half the measure of the sum of the lengths of the bases.
With the AB and BC.
You add A, B, and DC and take half of that.
If like AB was 2 and DC was 8, it would be 5.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
and then it's right in the middle. Yeah.
Yes. Hmm? Good. Anybody else with issues? Okay. All right.
Is the other side.
Okay. Remember, this is a trapezoid, not a parallelogram. Parallelogram, opposite angles are congruent, and S would in fact be 63. But remember, in a trapezoid, they must be supplementary. Okay? So if you think about it, due to the fact that this is an isosceles trapezoid, ladies and gentlemen, how much is angle R?
163.
63.
Oh, R.
Okay? Yes, R. R is 63 because the base angles are congruent, the angles on either end of the base being the parallel sides.
So then you
The leg angles, if you will, are supplementary because they're consecutive or same side interior. So it would be 180 minus 63, and it would in fact be your 117.
And then would T be 172?
T would also be 117, correct.
How do you know they're supplementary?
Great question. Can you agree that QR and TS are parallel?
Yes.
Turning RS into a transversal?
Yes.
These are consecutive or same side interior angles, and whenever a transversal intersects two parallel lines, consecutive interior angles are supplementary.
Okay.
So they'll always be that way. Okay. Now, this will not always be 63. These two angles won't be congruent. When is the only time these angles will be congruent? When it's isosceles, and you know it's isosceles when the legs are congruent. Very good. Okay. What about number 2?
A equals 38. Cat is 142 and R is also 38.
Very good. How much is angle M? 180 minus 142. They are supplementary. Thus, they're 38. Very good.
R equals 38.
R equals 38. Because the legs are congruent, that means the angles on each bases are congruent.
Alright.
So this is also 142 up here. Okay. Very good, Ms. Roberts. Other issues?
But I'm really interested to see how you would unify it.
Okay. You're going to find out in just a moment. Let's go do a little algebra. For trapezoid, HJKL, T and S are the midpoints of the legs. If HJ is 14 and LK is 42, how much is TS? You would do 56 divided by 2. TS is the mid-segment, therefore it's half the sum of the two bases. And number 5, it would in fact be 28. Try this. If LK is 19 and TS is 15, how much is HJ? Would you do 19 plus 15 times 2? Nope.
Because you take 15 plus 15 and subtract by 19 and it's 11.
Wait, what'd you do?
So you take 15 plus 15, get the answer, then you're going to subtract 19, and that's going to be HJ.
Why do you do 15 times 10?
Because when you get 19 plus 11, it's 30, and then you divide it by 2. So doing that backwards, you times it by 2, and then subtract 19.
Correct, Ms. Craig. The mid-segment is half the sum, so if you know the mid-segment, double it to find out what the sum must have been. Okay. What's that, Ms. Hummel?
I said they're too fast. I can't. I don't have time to process it, and you're like screaming it out. I'm like, what?
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, me and James are like, oh, we're like.
Okay. All right. If HJ is 7 and TS is 10, Find LK and don't shout out the answers. There you go, Homa. I'll go slow them down for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Got it. Hmm? Yes.
I think I got it wrong. I think I got 14, but I think
Did you get 14?
I did 10 times 2, which I think that's not what you're supposed to do, which is 20. And I did mine. Wait, I don't. Oh, never. I did my math wrong. Then it should be 13. I did wrong.
Okay. All right. 13. Correct.
I had 90% at one point. I was like, no.
Okay. Remember, take your mid segment, double it to get 20, subtract off the one leg or the one base that you do know, and you get the other base of 13. Okay. About number 8. If KL is 17 and JH is 9, find ST. Don't shout out answers. Whisper it. I will.
Boom. Yeah. I knew it was that. I didn't know what.
As I've seen a lot of people write, whispering is in fact 13. Notice that TS is the mid segment. It's half the sum of the bases.
You take 17 plus 9 and then divide by 2. You thought you took 17 minus 9.
Excuse me. Alright. How you guys feeling about trapezoids?
Good.
Alright, let's talk kites. A kite is a quadrilateral with exactly 2 pairs of consecutive congruent sides. As opposed to a parallelogram would have 2 pair of opposite congruent sides. A kite has consecutive congruent sides. Unlike a parallelogram, the opposite side of the kite are not congruent, nor are they parallel. Here's the kite. Last year when I tried to do this with my kids all being online, they had to go find an image online and insert it in their notes.
I'm confused.
What are you confused by?
Consecutive, that means it's like the left together?
Yes.
So would B and A be concurrent?
No, wouldn't B and C be concurrent, but then they would use.
Hold on. One at a
No,
time.
that's what I'm thinking.
Crank. Keep talking.
I don't know, because they're next to each other,
Yes.
so that makes them consecutive. And it says they're congruent. Oh, but it's sides, not
Yes.
angles.
Not angles. So side AB and side BC are congruent.
And then side A, B.
Side AE and side DC are congruent. Yes.
Why would BC and BC not?
Because if they were congruent, then you'd have a
Oh, then
rhombus.
you wouldn't have it. Okay. I got it.
So,
Yeah.
with your angles, would A and C be congruent and B and D would not?
Why do you figure that?
Oh, it just looks like, I don't know, they just look like, because then, I don't know, or because I think.
I like what you're
They
thinking.
showed on the picture on the last page that I was looking at, that,
Suppose I threw a diagonal in there. That diagonal cuts the kite into 2 what, guys?
triangles,
What's true about the 2 triangles?
they're congruent,
Why are those 2 triangles congruent?
Because it's
because angle, side angle,
side,
or
side,
side
side.
angle, side.
side, side,
Neither.
side.
It's side, side, side.
Because
Because BD is reflexive, so thus you'd have side, 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 which means the angle A would be congruent to angle C because they are. What's those 5 initials I'm looking for?
CPCTC.
Right, CPCTC. So yeah, A and C are congruent, but if we drew the diagonal in the other direction, it does divide it into 2 triangles, but are those 2 triangles congruent?
No.
No, you're right. Theorems about kites.
Wait, but what
I'm listening.
if we put a diagonal
Yes.
through A and C,
Yes.
then wouldn't that make it reflexive and then make those equal?
What's
I'm like-
equal?
Like triangle ABC and DCA, because like I don't know.
No, because A,
Oh, I
C,
see.
D has both 2.
I see
And
now.
then
The other one has one. Okay, I see it now.
it'd only be if it was like 1 and 2 and then 1 and 2.
Correct. Very good, ladies. 2 things about a kite. If a quadrilateral is a kite, then its diagonals are perpendicular. What else did we learn about last week that had perpendicular diagonals?
A square.
A square, which is also a,
Rectangle?
could be a rectangle, but it's also a
Parallelogram.
rhombus. Correct. So squares and rhombi and kites are the only things that have perpendicular diagonals. And if a quadrilateral is a kite, then exactly 1 pair of opposite angles are congruent. And just like 3 noted, the ones that are congruent are not the ones that connect. I'm trying to say this. The opposite angles are congruent cannot connect congruent sides. Does that make sense? A is congruent to C, but B can never be congruent to D. Very good. Okay. Well, let's go back to our diagram here. Get this to go up. And let's do a couple of kite examples. Ladies and gentlemen, how much is angle D? We're doing number 3 right now.
110.
I hear 70 and I hear 110.
180 minus 70, so B and D are both 110. Yeah, I was thinking out loud. I was thinking if I should put 36 with it or 70. And I went with 70.
Triangle, because Bree did it where she cut it like this, or you cut it like that. Because I don't understand how you find it without any more numbers.
Okay, good question.
So A and C, you know how like the triangle is like has like the little one over here and the bigger one over here? Okay, so A and C are never ever going to be congruent
Yeah.
when it's like that. And B and D will always be congruent in that kind of shape. So you know that D is complementary to C, so you know they're going to equal 180. Then you're going to take 180 minus 70. And because you know that B and D are congruent, they're both going to be the same number, which is 110. I agree, probably someone correct me.
Okay.
Then would that make it a square or like a parallelogram?
If both pair of opposite angles are congruent, then it would in fact be a parallelogram. In a kite, only 1 pair of opposite angles can be congruent. So again, the whole thing is 360 because it's 180 times 2. Remember 2 we find by doing 4 minus 2. we add the two angles we know. That's 106. 360 minus 106 means B and D have to be 254 together, and they're both congruent, so divide by 2, and that makes it 127. And let's look at example 4. How long is side R8?
Well, since
Is that 20 showing the side? Sorry.
20 is showing the length from H to the intersection of the diagonals.
No, it wouldn't be 20 because that's this part of it. And then 12 is the part this. That's like making it right. So you have to do the Pythagorean theorem.
Very good, Miss
Yeah.
Hummel.
I can't talk to
Due to the fact that it's a kite and the diagonals of the kite are perpendicular, that forms a right triangle, and RH is the hypotenuse of that right triangle, so you would do the Pythagorean theorem.
Wait,
I hear a wait.
I'm confused.
Okay, Miss Crane, where are you confused at?
Where did you start?
Okay, can you agree that number 4 is a kite? And one of the theorems that we found out about a kite is that the diagonals of a kite are perpendicular.
Yeah.
So thus we have a right triangle.
Oh, you're talking about like 20 and 12?
Yes. 20 and 12 are the legs of the triangle, and RH is the hypotenuse of that right triangle. So we can use the Pythagorean theorem. Well, that's right. We're not going to divide it. We're going to square root it.
Oh, yeah.
And since we like exact answers and not decimal answers, I don't want you to hit your calculator key and hit square root. I want you to break it down.
Oh, no.
Hammer time. Do, 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 do. I'm not asking toast because you can't touch them. What's a factor that would go into 544 that we know the square root of?
10. No.
Two things, Hummel. One, do we know the square root of 10?
No, sorry.
Yeah. And also, 10 only goes into numbers that end in
0.
right. But, Manfred, I like your thoughts. We definitely can use 4.
Oh, yeah. Oh. 500.
By the way, can you guys agree that 4 is 2 squared?
Yes.
And 4 goes into the last 2 digits of 544, therefore it goes into the whole thing?
11 times.
How many times does 4 go into 544? And we got a calculator? You know, I think it's 136. And 4 goes into 36, so therefore I know 4 goes into 136. 34 times, and I'm done there. So your answer would be 4 square root of 34.
Wait,
How does that give you
how'd
an
you
exact
drop the 4 out? How'd you take the 4 out of the...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.